All right, guys, I do have a Thursday morning editorial for you now. I've done two other editorials on this officer. This is the third one that I've done on this officer. Remember the cop in Aurora, Colorado that, as we say, hogtied the lady. He had her hands behind her back and her feet up, and she rolled off she slid off the police car seat and said, "I'm about to break my neck. I can't breathe." And he didn't care. He just drove for 20 minutes to the jail with her like that, face down on the floor of the car. And then he was terminated. Well, we have an update on this officer. His name's Hafine, and we're going to talk about him right now out of Aurora, Colorado. Thank you to the Denver Post for this story. A former Aurora police officer is suing the city in an attempt to get his job back, alleging that city employees unfairly painted him as a racist for ignoring cries for help from a black woman in the back of his patrol car. Levi Hafine filed a lawsuit in Arapahoe County District Court last week, alleging the city failed to provide a fair and impartial hearing and improperly released information about the incident that influenced his appeal. Vanessa Wilson, then the interim police chief, fired Hafine in February in connection to an August 2019 incident during which he ignored a woman's cries for help after she fell face down into the floorboards of the back seat of Hafine's police cruiser as he transported her to municipal jail. The woman could not get up by herself because both her hands and her ankles were restrained. The woman screamed for help, stating she thought she was going to die. For more than 20 minutes as Hafine drove to the jail, he did not check on her. Levi Hafine does not dispute the facts of the incident in his lawsuit, but alleges he shouldn't have been fired in the first place and that his appeal process was tainted by releases of information to the public. Wilson, who became the department's permanent chief in August, decided to fire Hafine, even though the internal chiefs review board recommended Hafine be suspended for 180 hours. At the time of the firing, she only released the officer's name and would not provide details of what led to the discipline. In July, a records technician released a summary of the case in response to a records request by the Denver Post. Wilson later said the release was accidental and shouldn't have happened because the department's policy is to withhold disciplinary records until any appeal is finished. That release and the testimony of Aurora officials during Hafine's two-day appeals hearing before the Civil Service Commission created a bias against Hafine by insinuating he is racist, this lawsuit states. Hafine is white and the woman involved in the incident was black. The lawsuit states, despite the fact that there was no evidence of racially motivated bias in this case or any racial component aside from the fact that the individuals were of different races, plaintiff was impermissibly painted as a racist with no way to counter, biasing plaintiff in the eyes of the commission. This prompted the commission to uphold the termination based on factual inferences of racial motivation that were not evidence in this case. The commission upheld Hafine's firing on October 6th and said the incident was simply not acceptable. The inference that Hafine is a racist is so stigmatizing that Hafine cannot get a job in law enforcement, the lawsuit states. The city has not responded in court to the lawsuit, online court records show, but Aurora spokesman Michael Bryant on Tuesday said the city is reviewing the lawsuit. Michael Bryant said in an emailed statement, the termination of Officer Hafine by Police Chief Vanessa Wilson was lawful and appropriate and was upheld by the city's Civil Service Commission, and we believe the district court will agree with the actions taken in this case. All right, now the problem in this here is he says, I didn't get fair and impartial treatment at my hearing. I was treated unfairly. What about the woman that was, ankles and wrists restrained and face down on the floor of the back of your car? Did she get fair treatment? Was she treated fairly? Karma's a bitch and she takes no prisoners, Levi. Huh? He says, I can't get a job anywhere. You shouldn't be a cop anywhere. You should go do something else. You're a sadist. You shouldn't be a cop. Do you understand that, Levi? They're trying to tell you something. You're a poor example of law enforcement. Forget all the racist stuff. We're not saying you're racist. No, I'm not saying you're racist. I don't know if I inferred that in any of my other editorials. I did two more on you, but This one here, I'm going to say, I don't know if you're a racist or not, but I know you're a fucking bad cop. To leave somebody face down in the floorboard of the car screaming for help. We saw the video. We heard her screams for help. And you were like, shut up. I don't know if you don't remember if he said shut up, but I'm trying to remember what he said. He said something smart at the jail, like, you're okay. She's all right, or whatever you said. Because you didn't care. But you want to be a cop. You need to be evaluated for what caused you to listen to a woman screaming and pleading for help for over 20 minutes while you went, whatever, and drove to the jail. There's something wrong with you. In my humble opinion, that's how I see it from the video I saw and hearing her screams. Community Leo Watch, watching Leos as law enforcement officers, including Levi Hafine from coast to coast.